Hi. A few weeks ago, I read a tweet of Philip Rakowski about a UX tip for loading indicators. He said that if we display a loading indicator directly, users may feel the application slow. Instead, we can delay showing a loading indicator by, he says, 1 second. That way, if the content is loaded before this 1 second limit, we directly render the content and users will not see a loading indicator. He's talking about defined async function from Vue3 that provides this behavior. So defined async component takes the following properties. A loader function, a function that returns a promise that resolves to a Vue component. A loading component that is displayed while being in loading state. And a delay before showing the loading component. An error component that is displayed when there was an error, and finally a timeout. If this timeout is exceeded, we display the error component. So this works for Vue components, but we can also use the same pattern for example, fetching the initial data of a web page with XState. This is what we will do today with this to-do list application. So as you can see, there are loading indicators directly when the page is displayed. We would like to implement the same pattern as discussed. So let's jump into the code and open the state machine in the visual editor. In a previous video, we have been implementing to-dos management, that is to-dos creation and updating to-dos, but today we are going to focus on fetching to-dos. So the first thing we do is deleting this under transition and the fetch to-dos service. We want to create several things inside fetching to-do state. First, we create a waiting state and show loading indicator state. So waiting state is a state in which we want to render nothing. But after one second, so 1000 milliseconds, we want to show loading indicator. Now we want to invoke the service that fetches the to-do. We will add the service to fetching to-dos. So we take the same service as defined previously, fetch to-dos. Nice. And when the fetching is done, we will go to to-dos management. Yes. And we will assign the initial to-dos to the context. Okay, so now we create a new state called, where it is, aired fetching to-dos. Take it, move it around. Yes, here. So if the fetching failed, we go to this state. Nice. So what else? We fetch the to-dos, then we go to to-dos management. If the fetching fails, we go to aired fetching to-dos, and after 1 second, we show the loading indicator. So let's implement the cancellation of 3000 milliseconds. So we transition from fetching to-dos to aired fetching to-dos, and we make it a delay transition. Perfect. So That's nice. We have our state machine. Now, let's see what happens in the machine. I close the visual editor. Okay, so nice. We have our states. I will have to recreate the tags that have been deleted by the extension. This is a known bug. Okay, so just let's take the add fetching to do state and put it at the top here. Nice. Okay, so perfect. Now we are going to the view. We are going to create some constants. First, should show nothing. And we will use a tag to determine this information. We want to show nothing when we are in waiting state, but to make it more resilient, we use a tag. So the tag is named show nothing, render nothing. Nice. So we take the tag show render nothing. Another thing we want to create is a tag on show loading indicator. So we create show loading indicator. And we will use it in a constant should show loading indicator. Perfect. And we need another constant called should show error state. And we will use show error state tag. We create it on add fetching to the state. Nice. Perfect. So now we can update the view. We want to display only the title when we are in waiting state. That is when we are in this state waiting and we are waiting for this timer of 1 second to succeed. We want to render nothing. So we go to the view. We take these things. That is the header and we will write should show nothing. If we should show nothing, then we render nothing. But if we should show error state, then we will render some error state. An error occurred while fetching to-dos. And finally, we can display this. Yes, I have to write a segment. So if we can display something and there is no error, we want to display the application, and there is one thing to refactor. It's the Boolean that determines if checkbox needs to be in loading state. Previously, I was using fetching to-dos to determine this information. Now we want to use a tag. Nice. Nice. Okay, so what happens if, yes, just one thing to test is the service currently uses a delay of 1 second. For now, we want to have a delay of, say, 100 milliseconds. Let's see what happens. So the page renders blank, then it's really fast. We can increase the timeouts. Nothing, then all the content without a loading state. Now, if we have a delay of 2000 milliseconds, what happens? Nothing, then loading state, then the content. And now, if we have a delay of, say, 5,000 milliseconds. That is, if the delay is bigger than the timeout, what happens? Nothing, loading state, then error state. And the fourth case that can happen is that an error is thrown, failed to fetch initial to-dos. And what happens in this case? The error is directly shown. But if we have some delay before this error is thrown, let's say 2 seconds, blank, loading state, and then the error. I think it works perfectly. The style, I agree, could be improved, but this is not the most important. The most important is that in a really few lines, we implemented this really interesting pattern. Thanks to XState, thanks to state charts, it has been really easy. The visual editor gave us a way to create this pattern really easily, and I love it. So in this video, we combined services with delay transitions. We implemented event cancellation, and everything was really easy to do thanks to the declarative syntax of XState. If you have not already, please check out Stately editor, which is now in public beta. You can try it. You can even use a VS Code extension as I did in this video. This is a really powerful tool. And combined with type generation, this is just amazing. As you saw, hashtag is now totally typed. Thank you for watching and see you next video.